So Keith, what do you got going on in the world of business? And
Well, actually, my wife and I, we have a little investment company and we're working on that, but we both want to get into commercial.
Yep.
She's just getting her license. Well, she's going to take the test, and when she passes, then we both are going to move over to commercial. I'm in realty right now,
Okay.
but not really doing anything there. I'm just stoked about commercial. I want to do commercial. I want to be in commercial. And
So what asset classes do you want to do in commercial?
I want to be a broker, business broker. I love that idea of selling businesses. Then also I get the real estate, I get the business, and I may luck up and have a guy like John come over and say, I want to buy that. And I can get the loan also.
Keith, you sound just like I did about just about a year ago. What you're saying is exactly what I was saying. I was doing residential, and I had like I was dealing with a really frustrating seller and a frustrating buyer at the same time. And man, it was just getting to me. And, I spoke to my mentor and she's like, you're not happy doing residential. You're a business guy. Why don't you move to commercial? And I'm like, yeah, I wish I would have thought of that a few months ago, but I did, and that's all that matters. So I'm with you, Keith, 100%. That's great, man.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm really stoked about going into commercial. And I've been taking a couple of classes with Mike Simpson. I looked at the curriculum for commercial, and I'm just blown away. It's like, wow, they have everything. And then it's not just like, okay, here's the stuff, go at it. It's like, here's the stuff. Let me take you by the hand and walk you through it. And I'm saying that is huge.
Mike is awesome. He's awesome. I've done that course probably 3 times. I did it twice before I moved over to commercial. And him and his partner, I think it's his brother-in-law, I can't remember his name. They're terrific.
Steve or Steven.
Yeah, Steven, right. And they're terrific. I mean, they're knowledgeable. And, it's funny because I remember the first time they did it, everybody kept on interrupting. It was a mess, And then finally, Mike, a couple of them into it, he got fed up and he was just like, stop, enough. Because people they wouldn't let him finish a sentence. But anyway, he's a really good guy, really bright guy. There's somebody else on YouTube that somebody introduced me to recently. He has great videos. His name is Peter Harris, and he's got, I can't remember the name of his business. It's Commercial Property Advisors. He's got a YouTube channel that's fantastic if you're looking to learn the basics of commercial real estate.
I'm writing his name down right now.
Yeah, check him. And he's just really great presentation, simplifies it. I like things explained to me like I'm a 10-year-old. And that's the way he explains everything. So I can absorb it,
You're new to it, you don't know it. And a lot of times people present like, oh yeah, well, he's on the same level as me. He should know everything that I know. No, I really like that idea of being, like you say, presented like I'm a 10-year-old because I don't know. And if he presents it like that, then I will know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Peter Harris. I've watched a lot of his stuff on YouTube for a while, but what other training were you guys just speaking about?
NCREA.
Okay.
Mike Simpson is the main guy in charge, and actually Stephen Morado is his nephew. And
All right.
Yeah, they work together, and like he was saying, that's a good program.
It is an exceptional. It is an exceptional program. I took it a couple of times and very thorough. And the only drawback, which is not a drawback really, is that they specialize in multifamily, and that's it.
Okay.
But they are absolutely awesome. It is a very intensive program and quite heavy on math, and so I built my spreadsheets for that. So
yeah. have any of you taken his whole course and then sat through the EXP course? What's the difference? They the same, different?
I took the 3-day course, and I am signed up for the there's a class in December, and I don't quite remember exactly what it is. I think it's a 1-day class, but it's really advanced. And that's a paid class. The 3-day course that I took is a free course for us.
Well, he has a 3-day that's paid, and then he has one that's not paid. And I don't know what the real difference is.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Keith, the one piece of advice I'll give you, find a mentor, commercial.
There she is right there.
Tanya's your business broker mentor, and you can't get better. If you want to learn commercial,
strictly business broker though. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an advisor for commercial. So somebody who wants to do multifamily, or they want to do industrial, they want to do, land development, all that, I always tell them you need to go get another mentor for that. Because I'm happy to be an advisor for business brokerage. The only time I generally sell real estate is if the business owner happens to own it, and that's maybe 5% of the time. Okay, about 95% of the transactions that we deal with as business brokers, they're leasing the space. Yeah. And that makes perfect sense when you think about it, because if you're driving down the street, you pass a strip mall, and that strip mall's got, 6 or 8 units in it. Maybe it's got a flower shop, maybe an auto repair, maybe a cigar shop, whatever. But there's only one owner that owns that building. Yeah. And those 6 or 8 different tenants in there, different businesses in there, they're all tenants. So, and the same with an office building. I mean, you think about a big office building, might have 300 tenants in it. So only, so you've got your owner, your property owner, and your commercial broker is going to sell that property, but it's a business broker is going to sell the 300 businesses that are inside of that office building. Right. So very different, very different process, the way that the sales are facilitated too, because business sales are confidential. Property sales, usually you want somebody to know that the property is for sale. You want to put big signs out in front that it's for sale, right? But not so. That's not the case with a business. Generally, the business sales are confidential. You don't want anybody knowing it's for sale except prospective buyers.
I had a couple of just trains of thought because we started talking about it, but I had 2 different conversations with 2 different potential buyers that I'll share with you guys, because it shows the value of a good business broker and what you present to a potential lead. So I had one lead yesterday I spoke with. They engaged to buy a B&B, a bed and breakfast, in out here in Nevada, in Pahrump. They went into contract. The due diligence period expired. They did it all on their own. They didn't have any representation. Turned out that the books were completely cooked. They were completely fraudulent, and they ended up losing their EMD. They had a $20,000 deposit on. And when I said, why don't you, you have to go after them for that money, they said, we spoke to our lawyer, and he said it would be about 15 grand. It would cost us 15 grand in legal fees to try and get back 20,000. So it's really important, a lesson I learned, right? It's, you always want to say, look, you always want to use a professional, represent your interest. That's what we do. But it really is, there's a real life example of what can happen. It can cost people money if they enter into an agreement to purchase a business without going over everything with a fine tooth comb. So that was it was eye opening. I feel really bad for these people. And they accepted the fact that they got beat for 20 grand. They don't want to pursue it. They feel more embarrassed and ashamed that they got taken than anything. And I didn't want to, I'm not going to rub it into their face by any stretch, because it's the worst thing you can do. We all make mistakes. But that's, that's something that when you're speaking to a prospect, if they don't know what a business broker is, if they don't want to use one or they're thinking about it, it's a perfect example that if they're entering into the lion's den, they better have somebody beside them to handle the lion. And The other deal that I was working on, which was pretty interesting, is that I was also representing a buyer. The deal fell through. He decided not to buy a business, but we got to the point where we were engaging with the seller. This particular seller had a cafe, a bakery, restaurant. Tonya, I believe, I know you and I had spoken about it. There were 7 years left on the lease. There was about $500,000 left on the lease. And we went to the seller and we said, look, we want a commission based on the remainder of the lease as well, to be included as well. And they were, in an uproar about it. They completely objected to it. They weren't willing to do it. I tried explaining to them, look, if you have to break this lease, you're on the hook for almost $500,000. If we find a buyer for the business to spend an extra 15 grand to pay us a commission to get out of the lease, is worth it.